All right, Shalom. Should be a not too long of a lesson. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawahshi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This is a quick, short video from a colonel by the name of Lawrence Wilkerson, I think his name is. And he's talking about how the Pentagon propagandized American people. So, what propaganda means? Propaganda is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a particular cause, doctrine, or point of view, right? So he's telling you this. He's a 30 some year old, I think he said 31-year old, 30 years in the Army, a veteran, right? He had, just to give it a little background, yeah, Lawrence Wilkerson, former chief of staff to the United States Secretary of State, served in the military, 31 years, veteran. So this is credible information. So he said, this is what the Pentagon does to the American people and still doing, right?
But they kept on propagandizing the American people, and I will tell you, they've been doing it ever since. Now, this is just the Pentagon. A major effort to sell the wars because they realized, some of them, that Vietnam was in part, in their view, lost because they didn't capture the media and make it molded to their wishes. Never again would that happen. So there's this strong effort in the Pentagon still to do this. But they kept on propagandizing the American people, and I will tell you, they've been doing it ever since. Now, this is just the Pentagon. A major effort to sell the wars because they realized, some of them, that Vietnam was in part, in their view, lost because they didn't capture the media and make it molded to their wishes. Never again would that happen. So there's this strong effort in the Pentagon still to do this.
So he said they got a strong effort in the Pentagon to what? Keep the American people propagandized, selling basically false information, lies, cover stories to the American people to promote these wars in their favor. But there's some information also that who controls the Pentagon, which he's gonna tell you right here.
And it's unquestionable that the Epstein business was heavily influenced, let me put it that way, by Mossad. And so that's somehow emblematic on these huge geopolitical issues. Yes, I watched Mossad take over the Pentagon. In 2002, the Pentagon was infiltrated by Mossad. They did not need any identification to get through the river entrance of the building. They went upstairs to Douglas Feith, the Undersecretary of Defense's for Policy, the third most powerful man in the Defense Department. Occasionally, they went to the second most powerful man, Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and they had run of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said to my boss one time, "Hell, I don't run my building. Mossad does."
So he just told you that the Pentagon sell lies to you people in relations to wars. And also he told you that there's a certain agency, which is a foreign agency, is the intelligence, which is the intelligence agency of the Izzy state. They control the Pentagon, right? So put two and two together. And there's another video here.
And it's unquestionable.
It's basically a clearer video of him saying it again. I'm gonna play it also.
That the Epstein business was, and it's unquestionable that the Epstein business was heavily influenced, let me put it that way, by Mossad.
So he said that the Epstein business was heavily influenced by the Mossad. And that's what more or less a guy was saying. They blackmail these politicians to do what they want because they got them on tape doing despicable acts with children, basically. You should. A lot of people seen the files and all that, so more or less it's a blackmail attempt to have these politicians to do their will.
And so that's somehow emblematic on these huge geopolitical issues. Yes, I watched Mossad take over the Pentagon in 2002. The Pentagon was infiltrated by Mossad. They did not need any identification to get through the river entrance of the building. They went upstairs to Douglas Feith, the Undersecretary of Defense's for Policy, the third most powerful man in the Defense Department. Occasionally, they went to the second most powerful man, Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and they had run of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said to my boss one time, "Hell, I don't run my building. Mossad does."
So if you don't know who Mossad is, I suggest you look it up. Right? Like I said, it's the equivalent to the CIA of America. And also, he's going to say it again.
When your furnace quits,
he's
everything
say it
costs
again in this
more.
video.
You rush decisions,
basically,
miss rebates, and over.
The same statement, which I'm going to fast forward it.
Was there. That was the cabinet meeting at which 2-hour fully televised cabinet meeting. There it is. There's a camera from the other side. Now, Chris added the Gabbard citing language, but there she is.
And did you hear him say, "And Mr. President, we know you're not going to stand for any violations of international law"?
No.
What a statement in the face of the genocide going on in Gaza.
Right. It's hard to believe. Now, our dear friend Max Blumenthal has a very negative but largely accurate moniker for John Ratcliffe, the Mossad stenographer.
I think he's right.
He regurgitates and repeats. That's what a stenographer does. Everything his Mossad buddies tell him. I wonder if, because Max also claims this, when Netanyahu meets with Trump without the cameras there are Mossad agents with him. Not CIA, not Gabbard, not Ratcliffe, but Mossad agents.
I wouldn't doubt that a bit. I saw that with Douglas Feith, the number 3 man in the Pentagon in 2003 and 2004. Rumsfeld actually made a statement. "I don't run this building, Mossad does."
Wow. Who made that statement?
Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense.
So he told you again, that the second man is one of the second head of the Pentagon said he doesn't run the building. It was this foreign agency, intelligence agency of the Izzy state. They run the Pentagon, and like he said, because they got basically tapes on these politicians doing despicable acts with young and underage children and other things, and he just said that when that Netanyahu and Trump meets, they have those agents in there with them because basically they got information on these people, man. Like you said, the Mossad has everything to do with the Epstein, the PDF thing. Now this video here of this guy, Lindsey Graham, he's gonna speak on how wars are playing in Israel. Like this is not the video.
Well, I think what his plan is to replace the money of 3-point-something billion with an investment in new technology.
So he says there, I'm gonna just play. I'm gonna play it. And then I'm gonna say what I need to say.
I think what his plan is to replace the money of 3-point-something billion with an investment in new technology, rather than just writing you a check. Help the IDF. He wants to create a partnership outside of the aid number. I like that idea. The wars of the future are being planned here in Israel, because if you're not one step ahead of the enemy, you suffer. The most clever creative military forces on the planet are here in Israel because they have to be to survive. So what we're looking at is that Israel is advancing down the road of nuclear weaponry far beyond us. It would be nice to have a process where we could be partners. Well, I think his plan is to replace the money of 3-point-something billion with an investment in new technology, rather than just writing you a check. Help the IDF. He wants to create a partnership outside of the aid number. I like that idea. The wars of the future are being planned here in Israel, because if you're not one step ahead of the enemy, you suffer. The most clever, creative military forces on the planet are here in Israel because they have to be to survive. So what we're looking at is that Israel is advancing down the road of nuclear weaponry far beyond us. It would be nice to have a process where we could be partners.
So he just told you the future wars are planned in Israel. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I came across this information from this channel. Where is it at? I think Kim Iverson. That's where I came across this information.
Excuse me, if you fill up my cup, I'll fill up your gas tank.
Yeah, this is the channel right here. I got this information from. Right, this is Colonel Wilkerson watched Mossad take over the Pentagon. And I did, researched it, and it's true. I have seen it. And all going back to this
Well,
this video here, he said that Lindsey Graham, which is a politician, or get just a little information on who he is. So Lindsey Graham is United States Senator of South Carolina, I think. Lindsey Graham is an American politician and attorney serving as senior United States Senator of South Carolina. Right, part of the Republican Party. Not sure if he's still in office or not. Previous office, representative of South Carolina, 3rd District. I don't know his political stance. I don't know if he's still in hold some type of office, or he retired or whatever. But so he was in Israel a month or so back, and he said this at whatever meeting they was at, And another thing I want to point out, he was saying something about technology that this right here, But to add to what he just said about the future wars are planned in Israel, and also keep in mind that the Pentagon is controlled by the Mossad, as the Colonel said, right, Lawrence, and that they tell the American citizens lies, right? So you gotta. They just told you all that right there. That the Pentagon told the American citizens lies, propaganda, which is lies, to about wars and shit, right? And also that the Mossad controls the Pentagon, and also which is the central intelligence agency of the Israeli state, and all these future wars are planned in Israel. All of that was just explained and told just right here, right? So you people, the truth is being revealed, man. As all these wars is a bunch of BS that a lot of people been saying, you know. He was going back from what is the war in what is it? I can't remember. It's the Asian in Asia. What he was talking about the war that Lawrence. they was feeding you people lies from there. Just can't think of that war. Right, it's not coming to mind. Uh, fuck. But basically, they're lying to you American people about these wars, what's going on, how they've been started. You know, even I just made a short video about the Venezuela. The guy there was oil tycoons or whatever saying it was all about oil. The Venezuela thing. We told you that, right? There's people out there telling people this, but it's not. Yeah, a lot of people are not catching on, man. You know, and also what he said at the beginning, I want to point this out.
Well, I think what his plan is to replace the money of 3 point something billion with an investment in new technology.
So he want to replace his money with some type of new technology.
Than just writing you a check, help the idea if he wants to create a partnership outside of the aid number. I like that idea.
So they investing money in new technology, replacing money with technology. Let me see what he said, because I'm not too sure who he's talking about or what's the whole thing about that.
Well, I think what his plan is to replace the money of 3 point something billion with an investment in new technology.
So that's what they're replacing basically, and technology is the key to the fourth industrial revolution, right? And replacing money with technology. That's important in itself, because they want to replace currency, physical currency, with technology also, meaning a microchip, right? So it was funny that he said it the way he said it, because basically that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do away with physical currency ultimately and replace it with technology. You know, that's funny that he said it, because I really was. When I heard it, I thought that's the only thing that's what popped in my mind, right? He said he want to replace his currency with technology, and that's the first thing that popped in my mind. Which that's probably not what he's really talking about specifically, but it's funny that he said it the way he said it, because that's basically what is going to happen worldwide. Physical currency is going to be replaced with digital, in order to spend the digital currency, you're going to need a device, some technology, which is a RFID microchip, right? So it's funny how he said it the way he said it, and you've seen there that your Pentagon is telling you people lies ever since the Vietnam War. I think that's what he was saying. Ever since the Vietnam War, even the Pentagon has been pumping lies to you people, propaganda, feeding you lies, disinformation, misinformation. The Pentagon has, and also the Pentagon is ran by the Mossad and Future Wars, which is the intelligence agency of the Izzy state, and future wars are planned in Israel, right? So the wicked is being revealed, man. This is on Jeremiah. I really didn't have any precepts of mine, but this is Jeremiah 49. Let me see. It says the least of the flock shall draw them out. I'm probably past it. Jeremiah 49:20. It says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, Yahawah. that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he have proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Right? So the least of the flock of Edom is these small hats in the Izzy state, which are the nation of which are the Amalekites in the Bible. The other precept, Jeremiah 50. This is Jeremiah 50 and 45. It says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahawah, that he hath taken against Babylon." Babylon is America, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So they're drawn, the least of the flock, like I said, is these small hats, these Izzy state that control your Pentagon. They're drawing the America out to war, and they're going to make their land, the Israeli state, and Babylon the Great, which is America, desolate, right? They're drawing them out to this war. Like I said, they you just seen in the video, they feed you people lies. They've been feeding you people lies since the goddamn, I just said it, the Vietnam War, and they're still doing it today. Like he said, they're still doing it today. And who controls your Pentagon is the Mossad intelligence agency of Israel, and Israel also, all the future wars are planned in Israel. So you just seen that. So yeah, the scripture is true. The Bible is true, man. It's a living document, and it's relevant relevant today. A past, present, and future Bible, a past, present, and future document that lives. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it off right there. I hope it was edifying to the elect. And I'm gonna say, call Halayim Yahawah bahasham, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash, Shalom. Till the next time, Yahawah, Rawchaa, which means Lord willing, and Wah, Ba, Bo.